Hey, good afternoon. My name is Dan Konjorski, your host for Life on the Bench. Today, I just want to take a short time, just a minute or two or a few minutes, and talk about something that's been in the news lately. Um, and listen, when it comes to podcasts and what I represent in life in general, in my career field and so forth, I really don't want to get too political. Um, uh, I don't. But I do want to talk about something. There's a big talk about uh, how um, how National Guard and law enforcement is trying to work, put Washington D.C. back on the map in terms of beauty and so forth. And of course, that comes from the President of the United States. However, the president made mention of going into Chicago and with the National Guard and trying to tame down the crime stats there and to clean up the crime. First of all, I'm not sure, based on just human nature itself, it's going to take more than a short period of time to clean up any crime in a large city. Um, but I do want to mention something that maybe not everyone is fully aware of. Okay, and I got this from the Chicago PD.org. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Chicago's violent crimes. Um, for instance, according to ChicagoPD.org, there's 48 violent crimes a day in Chicago. 48 violent crimes a day in Chicago. There's 175 property crimes a day in Chicago. 175 property crimes. There's a total crime of 501 crimes totally a day in Chicago. And I'm not sure if you were aware of that. And yes, Chicago has millions of people. I got it. I understand that. But there is a lot of crime in Chicago and a lot of violent crime in Chicago a day. And, I'm not plugging for um, any particular, I'm not trying to say we should support this or that, but I do want to ask you this question. What is the solution? Do we do nothing and just let it ride? What do we do? How do we fix the crime in large cities? I suppose we fix it by simply enforcing the laws. And that's what I would propose. Just enforce the current laws on the book. And how would we do that when there's no way to control it except for whatever, we can't just sit there with our head in the sand and believe that it's going to fix itself. There has to be something, there has to be a solution. So there's been one solution that has been proposed, and that is sending the National Guard and, to support the police force already on the ground. Now, will that fix it? I don't know. I don't know. I just want to know, what is the solution if we don't do that? Why Chicago? Well, Chicago is a major tourist attraction. If you think about it, there's some key attractions. There's Millennium Park. It's home to the Cloud Gate sculpture and the Crown Fountain. Then there's the Navy Pier, a lively entertainment complex with rides, restaurants, and the Centennial Wheel. And then there's the Magnificent Mile, a premier shopping district with luxury retailers and iconic buildings. Then there's the museum campus, a complex housing the Field Museum, the Shedd Aquarium, and the Adler Planetarium. And then there's Willis Tower. Visit the sky deck for a panoramic view of the city. So there is, and maybe there isn't so much violent crime in such ritzy areas. There could be. Maybe it's in certain areas. I have no idea. I don't live up there. But I do want to ask the question, if we don't do anything, what's going to happen? Well, 48 violent crimes a day in Chicago, 175 property crimes a day, and a total of 501 crimes a day in Chicago. That's what will continue to happen. We do need to enforce the laws. We do. And that's one way to fix it. I do know that. How do we get there? Do we use the Guard, National Guard, to support the police department? I don't know. That's been a proposal from the President of the United States. Will it work? I don't know. But what I hope happens or doesn't, what I hope doesn't happen is that when the Guard shows up, there's no violent parade or there's no violence associated with it um, in terms of mass crowds, being violent because they don't like what's happening. I don't think that should happen. I think we do need to support the police department at the very least, so we can get the violent crimes down. I would certainly hate for your daughter, your granddaughter, your child, your niece, your nephew, or someone in your family to go to Chicago and and uh, and get hurt or worse, get killed in a violent crime. So that's just a thought for the day. I hope you enjoy this Life on the Bench and join me next time. Maybe we'll visit the 1970s uh, top single for that year. Have a great day.